morning. This is your second welcome, and it's as strong as Amy's. We welcome all of you here and all of you that are online. We're so glad you're here with us today. If you are new to Unity, you've just been coming a few Sundays, or this is your very first Sunday, we have an ambassador. Stella must have stepped out. She has a gold stole. There she is. That's Stella. Wave your arms. Okay. If you have any questions about Unity, please stop and speak with her after the service. She has a packet of information, and she has a lovely Unity of Springfield coffee mug for you. Please check in on Facebook. Let your friends and family know that you are here. And then if you would please silence or turn off your phone. Today's flowers are provided by Sue Baggett-Day in celebration of her love's Paul's birthday. Please join me in the mission statement together. Our mission is to encourage and inspire spiritual and personal growth by empowering each other to be authentically all that we came here to be. And let's speak together the affirmation for today's daily word. My highest good is always unfolding. Circumstances change. Plans get interrupted. Life often takes unexpected turns. Even so, I remain calm and unshaken as I stand on the solid ground of faith, knowing that my highest good is unfolding. Beneath every outer change is the unchanging truth of God, stable, unvarying, consistent. In God, nothing is ever lost. In God, there is enough power and strength to meet any life experience. In God, I know I am not alone. I maintain the courage and will to embrace all that life offers. As conditions changed, I am flexible, moving through times of transformation with ease and grace. I expect manifestation of my highest good, and I embrace whatever form it may take. The scripture for today is Psalms 46:2. Please join me. Therefore, we will not fear though the earth should change. And let's repeat the affirmation. My highest good is always unfolding. And now, as Sue rings the prayer bowl, will you please hold the following people in your prayerful thoughts for their highest and best? Raymond, Tiffany, Jane, Ashley, Al, Nancy, Della, Lee, Gracie, John, Chris, Jeannie, Matt, Julie, Rusty, Patty, Brett, and anyone that comes to your mind. We have several congregants who have had dear ones make their transition this past week. We pray for Kat and family on the passing of her aunt. Her aunt's name is Linda. Simone and Richard for the passing of Simone's former mother-in-law, Velma. Myself for passing of a dear friend named Sharon. And we continue our prayers for Rusty and family on the passing of Sharon. Take a deep breath in as we absorb and embrace the sounds and the vibrations coming from the prayer bowl. Hold that breath and exhale. We are aware that the one presence and one power, God, Source, Spirit, the universe, is always with us, blessing us and coming forth in us, as us, and through us. As we begin to relax, to help us focus on prayer and meditation, let's bring your attention to the crown of your head, relaxing as you move down your forehead, eyes, ears, lips, tongue, and jaw. Roll your neck and shoulders to release any tension and stiffness. Follow the relaxation as it moves down your arms, elbows, wrists, hands, and fingers. Feel and see the relaxation taking place in your body as you move down your spine and lower back. Relax your thighs, knees, calves, ankles, feet, and toes. Take a deep breath, hold, and exhale. We pray for the highest and best, for all who have been placed on the prayer list by their connected loved ones, for the highest and best experience of life. We include ourselves, our families, friends, and neighbors. For everyone on earth, we affirm bodies immersed in good health, finances to cover needs, dreams, and desires, loving relationships with family and friends, the guidance we seek, peace of mind, and spiritual transformation. We surround not only our spiritual community, also our city, our state, and nation, all nations, with prayers for fairness and safety, happiness, joy, abundance, inclusivity. We visualize peace among all in our country, in all countries, and all governments, especially those suffering in war-torn areas. We envision our country leaders coming together with the goal of compromise and fulfilling the trust we have given them. I invite our congregants here in the sanctuary and those viewing from their homes to realize and accept we are all worthy of all the good we desire, and we are loved by God just the way we are. We are so blessed by God's gifts to us of life, love, connection, thinking minds. With infinite gratitude, we share our big, bright, brilliant beam of radiant light with our spiritual community, extending to the whole world and everyone in it. We remain calm and unshaken as we stand on the solid ground of faith, knowing that our highest good is unfolding with ease and grace. We expect the manifestation of our highest good, and we embrace whatever form it may take. As we rest in the silence, let's open our imaginations to listen for our guidance in the silence. Before I leave the podium, I just want to say thank you to the band. They are all so talented.
Great song. Thank you so much. So how's it working for us to wait on the world to change?
You sang that in the 90s, right?
Let's see. So I'm going to invite us to use a little of our heart math this morning. First of all, good morning. Welcome to everybody who has been here. Welcome to those of you who maybe it's your first time to be here. We're delighted that you're with us today. We have a lot of things going on in our world today, right? And we're seeing some really horrific things happening. So what I'd like us to do is to use a little heart math, and I'll explain to you what that is. So what I'm going to encourage you to do, first of all, think of a very peaceful place that you like to be. Like, what comes to mind for you when you think of a peaceful place? You can tell me. Wilderness, beach, the ocean, the Unity Village. My bed. So think of a peaceful place, and what we're going to do is I'm going to invite us in a second to close our eyes. We're going to take in a deep breath for 5 seconds, let it out, do it again. Then we're going to start breathing through our heart space, and I'm going to invite us to bring that feeling of peace into that space. And then we're just going to send that peace out and let it do what it can do. So if you'd like to close your eyes for a moment, just take in a breath for 5. Again. Now, as you do this, I'm going to invite you to imagine you're breathing in and out of your heart space. Now, as you breathe in and out, and in and out. And now just bring that image of the most peaceful place into your consciousness and continue just breathing in and out through your heart space until you can feel that sense of peace. Truly, let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. So we are creating this energy of peace here in this room. Let us just imagine that this energy is expanding, it's radiating out beyond these walls, beyond the roof, and it's just exponentially moving out across our entire planet. And it is making it to the places that are needing it the most in this moment. And we just say, thank you, God. And so it is. Amen and amen. There's power in doing that individually, but there's great power in doing that collectively and just continuing to send that peaceful energy to the places that are really needing it right now. Okay, so we are in our third week of a series called The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. And, I got to thinking about, what would it feel like to live untethered, to live free from some things? What would it feel like to live free from the bonds of trauma from our past experiences? Would that feel pretty good? What would it feel like to live free from old limiting ideas and beliefs from our past? Good? What would it feel like to live free from anxiety and fear and resentment? Anybody like to live free from that, untethered? Yes. How about what would it feel like to live from free from the feeling of not enoughness, however that shows up? And I promise you it shows up for us all somehow. But to live free from that. And to me, that's so much of what the Untethered Soul is about, is giving us ideas and tools that we can use to live a more untethered experience. But also, I really love too, because it's really helping us to live more presently in the now moment. Now, how many of us are great at living in the present moment instead of in the past and in the future? But life feels really good in the present moment most of the time. Usually when I'm in that space of not being centered, And I come to the present moment, and I realize in this present moment, everything's okay. In this present moment, I'm all right. So I love that too. So week 1, we talked about noticing the inner roommate. The inner roommate is the voice that has been going on in your head during the course of this whole service. Anybody have any thoughts other than what was being shared from the front? It's that voice. And the idea behind becoming aware of it is recognizing that we have allowed this voice, this inner roommate, to have its own life. And guess what? Guess who's supposed to have dominion over that inner voice? Me. And so it's just a matter of saying, okay, I'm going to be awake enough and aware. Is the inner voice, is what my voice is saying, is it supporting the life that I really desire to experience? And if it isn't, then we need to change the narrative. Yeah. So one of the ways that we do that is by doing the heart math. We talked about the energy of the heart last week, the wisdom of the heart. Doing the heart math helps us to quiet that inner voice, and then to allow, and what we talked about was, think of someone or something that you love and bring that energy of love to expand that heart space. And then open yourself up to allowing the wisdom of your heart to guide you. So this week, what we're talking about is being open to change. How many of us are great at being open to change? I had somebody... I was going to say, I had somebody one time, years ago, I'm talking probably 15 years ago, and I was doing a talk on change, and this person, after the service, said to me, I love change. And I was like a dog. I've never heard anybody actually use those words, and it was just so good to have somebody say that to me, because I was like, oh, I can learn to love change. So it's a matter of us being open to and embracing the changes that occur in our lives. Now, we talked about that there's 5 principles of unity. We can say them together. God is, I am, I ask, I pray, and I act. The principle for this week is the 5th principle, I act. And it's not enough for us to know the truth, but we must live the truth that we know. We must take action. And one of the ways that we're going to relate this today is, and you talked about it this morning, John, in class, is that it's not enough for us to get the wisdom, get the knowledge from a book or get the knowledge from a talk, that we must integrate that into our lives. And what I'm going to talk about in a little bit is that's a difference between spiritual awakening and spiritual maturity. Spiritual awakening is that, oh, wow, these are some new ideas. These are some ideas that are resonating with me. Spiritual maturity is when we have integrated those truths and we are now living from those truths, mostly. And then we have the 12 powers, and the power that we're talking about today is the power of strength. And strength is the stillness and the ability to know that the Christ within is our true strength. It is our ability to stand firm in the face of challenges and to know the truth. So what Michael Singer says is that if we are resistant and fearful to change, that we are going to try to create a world that is predictable, controllable, and definable. And we're going to try to create a world that doesn't stimulate our fears. How many of us can relate to this already? If only I just protect everything around me and I make sure that life is going the way that I want it to go, everything's all good, right? How's that working? Right. We try as we may, our fears are going to get stimulated. And he says that as long as life is showing up the way we need it to be, then we're okay. But he asked this question. He says, how did we come up with the notion that life is not okay just the way that it is? Or that it won't be okay the way that it will be? And who said that the way that life naturally unfolds is not all right? And he says the answer to that question is fear says that. Fear tells us that. And here's the thing I want to say. Fear is a natural thing. All of us have been created with an amygdala in our brain that takes us clear back to caveman days, fight or flight. There is a healthy fear that keeps us safe. And throughout our lives, we have taken on numerous other fears that we carry inside of us that are dictating our choices, and thereby they are directing our life experience. And the thing is, if we haven't done some work on this, they're unconscious fears that are getting pinged all the time, and we're making decisions based on those old unconscious fears, and we say, why isn't my life getting any better? Why am I having the same experience over and over and over again? And so again, we got to wake up, right? We got to wake up and become aware of, and as I'm going to talk about today, what some of those wounds are inside of us, what some of those triggers are, what some of those fears are, and how we can heal them. He says, if life unfolds in a way that stimulates your fears, then by definition, it's not okay. And when we don't feel okay, what do? We try to do anything we can to feel okay again, right? And we don't always make the healthiest choices in that, do we? Because we just want to feel okay. Even if it means that I'm doing the same thing that I've always done that have brought me such not great results, I just want to feel okay again. So again, we want to wake up and become aware of this. So what he does is he uses the analogy of a thorn. And he said, imagine that you have a thorn in your arm, and that thorn is directly on top of a nerve. And so anytime that thorn gets touched, it creates an incredible amount of pain for you. And so when you go to bed at night, you have to create something in order for that thorn not to get pushed. Or when you go out in public, you have to make sure that you don't get close to people because that thorn might get pushed. Or you're just having to always think about how to make sure that thorn doesn't get pushed so it doesn't hit that nerve so you're not in pain. He said, when that thorn is a constant source of worry to us, we have two choices to make in that. The first choice is to look at your situation and decide that since it's so disturbing when things touch the thorn, when things touch that wound, that you need to make sure that nothing touches it. Okay? We've all probably done this. And to me, this is one of those circumstances where maybe I've been hurt so many times in relationship in my past that I'm to the point that I'm going to guard my heart. I think I'm going to protect my heart and not get in a relationship anymore. Okay, so that's how's that working for you? You're not going to tell me because you don't want to admit that. That's okay. We've all been there, so okay. The second choice is to decide that it's so frustrating and since it's so disturbing when anybody touches it, that guess what we're going to do? We're going to take the thorn out. We're going to let the wound heal. What a novel idea, right? We're actually going to do the work to heal the wound instead of protecting the thorn. He says that one of the purposes of spiritual evolution is to release the blockages that cause our fears. And keeping our stuff is actually keeping us trapped. And it is. And I can just tell you from my own experience, because I came from a lot of fear. I just grew up with fear. And I'm going to talk about my dad in a moment, but my dad was like the overprotector. And it was like, we were afraid of everything, don't go, if you go out of the house, you're going to get kidnapped or, so I grew up with a lot of fear. So I had to do a lot of work around a lot of different fears. It is so worth it. It is so worth it to do the work to release the fears that are trapped within us. So what he says, and this just totally cracks me up, his line is, and what you will find is that life is surrounding you with people and situations that stimulate growth, and you only have to be willing to open your heart in the face of anything and everything and permit the purification process to take place. Easy, huh? Go for it. Like when something big is happening, just like embrace every emotion that comes with it. What do we usually do when emotions come up that are hard? We push them away, don't we? We don't want to feel it. We don't want to feel the pain. We don't want to feel that, so we push it away. And he's saying, stay present, stay open, stay in the now moment, and let these experiences purify you. Let these experiences heal some of the past things that are causing the situations to occur today. So there's a man, his young man, his name is Kyle Gray, and he wrote a book called Raise Your Vibration. And he does speaking, motivational speaking. And so he was in Germany, and he said that there was a woman there, and her name's Marion. And she had 3 teenagers with her, and she raised her hand and asked him, is my journey in life going to be that my karma is that I'm never going to have a wonderful and loving relationship? And so he really piqued his curiosity, so he started asking her questions. And what he found out was that she had been married for a really long time, and that her husband was unfaithful to her, and that this went on for a really long time. And so eventually he left the family, and so she just kind of took on this, like, I'm the mom, I've got to be strong for my kids. So on the outside, it looked like everything was okay. But inside, her inner roommate was telling her what a failure she was. It was telling her that she wasn't enough. She wasn't pretty enough. She wasn't a good enough wife. She wasn't good, period. And it was telling her also, it was playing a victim story. Why is this happening to me? How could this happen to me? And so when he got this information, he said, the record that is playing in your mind is that you're not worthy, of having a wonderful and a loving relationship. And so he spoke these words of affirmation to her, telling her, how worthy she is, and that she's an amazing, wonderful human being, and that she is deserving. And that really made a difference for her, because she could see what that inner roommate was telling her, and that she had to change the narrative in order to move out of that consciousness. And how many of us can relate to something like that? Yeah, where our mind is telling us something that, again, it's not leading us toward what we want, whether it's a good, healthy relationship, whether it's an awesome job that pays abundantly, whether it's a healthy body, whatever it is. It's important for us to start becoming aware of what is happening in my subconscious mind that I need to wake up and take a look at. That may be some old wound from the past. So I love the quote it's attributed to Ralph Waldo Emerson, and it's, what lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. And that's a very positive quote, because it's about the power that lies within us. But the reality, it also is what lies within us insofar as our unconscious wounds and our unconscious fears, and how, again, those are dictating our life experiences. Michael Singer says, the spiritual journey is one of constant transformation. How many of us know this to be true? Yes. And so if you're kind of new into unity or new into new thought, this is not a one and done thing. I mean, we don't, I remember in the beginning when I first got into unity, and man, I'm getting all these new teachings, and I thought, it came to a point where I'm like, I got it, man. I got it. And I'm never going to go down that road again where I lose my center. And guess what? Life happens. Things get triggered. And it's okay. And my point in saying that is, it's okay. We're going to be doing this for the rest of our lives. But for those of us who have been doing this for quite a while, it's so worth it, isn't it? I mean, because even going through some of the same things maybe a few times, you're different each time, and you grow and expand if you're willing to look at these opportunities as opportunities for growth. And we talked about this before, but the parable of the wheat and the tares is such a good parable for the reminder for us that in the parable of the wheat and the tares, the man's got his vineyard, plants his good crop, and in the night, the quote-unquote enemy comes in, they plant these tares. His servants come to him when they start to grow, what should we do? Should we take out both of them? And the owner says, no, let them both grow together. And then when the time comes, we will use the tares and we will use them to burn as a fire. And so what Michael says is, let all of your blockages and disturbances become the fuel for your journey. That which is holding you down can become a powerful force that raises you up. Let these things become the fuel instead of what's keeping you back here having the same experience over and over again. Let us be willing to look at our stuff, because it's in the willingness to look at our stuff that we can finally heal it, that we can finally move forward, that we can move into newness of relationships, newness of whatever. And I stand here as living evidence of that in all areas of my life. And I know that for most of us here, we've all had these experiences where when we've been willing to heal the old stuff, we've moved into something even better, right? Yes, okay. So your board of directors, your administrator, Dee Richardson, and myself, we did about a day-long board training a couple of months ago. And we're going to get together and we're going to dive more into it in a couple of weeks. But when I was rereading some of the information, I was reminded about the importance of recognizing that our IQ is not nearly as important as our EQ and our SQ. Our EQ is our emotional, and I'm just going to say maturity, and SQ is our spiritual maturity. And I actually did a couple classes on these a number of years ago, so I think I'm going to get those back out, and because they were really, really good information and good classes. So spiritual maturity is a state, are you ready for this, of being willing to unlearn everything you think you know and dance at the edge of mystery with every question that arises. Woo! Wow. But honestly, I feel like that's what my life has been since I got into Unity, unlearning all that stuff that I was taught that I now know wasn't true for me. You know, so, and being willing when things come up to be in the mystery of them, to question them. In a state of conscious surrender, in which the adverse ego that underlies the universal drive to explain everything and make us feel safe, important, and to belong, that ego is surrendered to something bigger than its individual needs, wants, and desires. You know, so And when we're in that place of woundedness and fear and anger and all that kind of stuff, we're in our ego, aren't we? We're not in our centered spiritual place. We're in our ego. So we want to surrender this to something bigger. And of course, that is the journey that we're making. So there, as I said, there's a difference between being spiritually awake and spiritually mature. But it takes practice. And that's another thing John talked about in class this morning, is that just because we read about it or just because you hear about it, you go, wow, that's a good idea. Yeah, it's not just going to happen. That's why action is the principle, because we've got to do the work that is ours to do, again, in order to move forward. Spiritual maturity means you have spiritually and emotionally grown through the practical application of knowledge you have gleaned, and those changes are reflected in how you show up, especially during times of stress or in anxiety-filled situations. Not always easy. I'm just going to say that. I know I went through a stressful situation, and man, I lost my center for a while. But you know what? I had loving people around me, help me to come back to center, to find my way back to that, and I didn't beat myself up for it. And to me, that's the main thing. Let's learn and grow from it. Spiritual and emotional maturity means you have developed the capacity to notice, observe, and be interested in what is happening. Are you ready for the rest of this? Without taking it personally or blaming others. Ding, 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 ding. Woohoo! Wow. How many of us take things personally? How many of us blame others? It's okay. let's just wake up and become more aware of this, and let's just do better than we've done in the past. Joe Dispenza says that if 95% of who we are is a set of unconscious programs, the first step is to become conscious of these programs. Well, thank you. Did you hear that? Charles Fillmore, our co-founder, says that enlightenment is of little or no value unless we are spiritually and emotionally mature. So I'm going to give you some examples of maybe some wounds that we could have and how to heal these wounds. So let's just say that as a child, you were criticized a lot by maybe teachers, friends, parents, whatever. So if we've gotten criticized as children, we probably have a big old wound in there, would you think? So if somebody gives us constructive feedback and that wound, that fear gets hit, we're probably going to get a little bit defensive, right? And we may act out because that wound is getting pinged by constructive feedback. And we our inner roommate starts to question, are we good enough? And so all kinds of things start happening in us when that wound gets pinged, right? But if we're willing to, go back to the first week, quiet our inner roommate, hello, and go and do our heart work, get centered, then that allows us to be able to look at that wound and to look at where that came from and say, you know what, that was my parents' way of doing things, or that was what my teacher said, but that isn't my truth. That's where we start this healing process, when we're willing to look at something that's we're reacting from today. We're willing to look at it and ask, what is the source of this, and is it even true? Here's the thing. 99% of the time, it's not true. We're reliving and we're acting out of things that are not true, never have been true. We took them on as truth. So that's the idea of waking up and taking a look at this. I have a couple more. Hold on just a second, because okay. I was going to tell you, my dad was a good man. He was a man of great integrity. But my dad kind of controlled us with his loud voice. And he just had this, we would say, Dad, quit yelling at us. And he'd be like, I'm not yelling. What are you talking about? That was just my dad. So I married a pretty controlling and loud person for many, many years. Because, to me, that was what love equaled. But here's the thing that I noticed. That was a wound inside of me. And what I've had to become aware of in my relationship, in my current relationship, is Paul is the least controlling person that I know. Peaceful, doesn't yell. But if there is a tone in his voice, or if there might be a look, or if he may say certain words, that inner thing can get triggered in me, and I can feel that coming up like, you're never gonna control me, because nobody's ever controlling me again. But what I've learned is to stop and say, is this relevant to my current relationship? Absolutely not. And where did this wound come from? And is it even relevant to my life today? And absolutely not. So that's just another example. Another example that I have is how it takes place in our bodies. And we talked about this today in class too. That when my second husband, Sean, passed away, which for those of you who knew Sean, we're coming up on 10 years in January, believe it or not. But it was unexpected. And my entire being went into shock. And my body went into shock. And what happened was my right leg, just my right leg, it would just shake and shake and shake and shake and shake, and it wouldn't stop shaking. And this went on for the better part of 2 weeks, where it just never stopped shaking. And it took months for it to finally not shake so much. What I have found is that when death comes close to my heart, if it's somebody that matters in my life, that my leg will start shaking. because my body took on a cellular memory of that trauma. And so my body is now responding. But the great thing is, my mind, I've worked with it enough to go, well, look at that. My little leg is shaking. And then come back to the moment and do my breathing and recognize this is okay. This is not relevant at this time. And I can tell myself, and I can tell my body to relax, and that all is well and all is okay. So the idea here, I hope that you're getting, is that we have these wounds in us. They trigger us. We react. And if we're reacting, more than likely that's not going to be the best possible thing for us to do. But if we do the work, then when these things get triggered, we will come to a place of responding. And responding is much different than reacting. So the three things, number one, is to get a hold of your inner roommate. What is it that is, what am I thinking about, what I'm not thinking about, what I'm thinking about, what's going on in my head. Go to your heart space, get in that centered place. And then the third one, of course, is when we get triggered, go back to number one. When you get triggered, go back to the inner roommate, do the healing work. And here's what I'm going to tell you. This stuff will change your life. It will absolutely change your life. Here's one of the things I love about Unity. We used to be called Practical Christianity because it's taking the teachings and it's making them practical to how we can apply these to our lives today to create a better life for ourselves. When we create a better life for ourselves, what do? We create a better life for everyone around us. So go out, you guys, and create a great life for yourself. Next week, I don't remember what we're talking about. But I'll be back. Namaste, namaste. Thank you. You know why that is? I'm going to tell you why, because I'm living in the present moment. And this moment right here in this sanctuary on this day. All right, so we have this great, wonderful time that we get to come together and be in financial support of Unity of Springfield and all that we are here to be and do together. Many ways that you can give. However you give, I'm going to invite you to take the energy of your gift or your gift itself in your hands and let's bless it together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And thank you, God.
All right, announcements. The men's group will meet this Thursday at 10 a.m. The discussion topics vary each week, so feel free to join in at any time. Also on Thursday, the mat makers will meet and continue working toward their goal of 100 mats in 100 days. They also meet on Saturdays from 10:30 to noon. There are several ways you can help them meet their goal. No experience is necessary, and some of those ways don't include you having to be here on Thursdays or Saturdays. There's things you can do at home and bring here so that helps that effort. Next Sunday at 9:15 in the New Thought World Religion Adult Sunday School class, Paul Day will be discussing Jesus for the non-religious. Yes, we got a lot of hmms on that. Okay, John Shelby Spong. Did I say that right? Okay. The next diversity game night is this Friday, October 27th at 6 p.m. Bring a treat to share and join in for some Halloween tricks and treats. Feel free to wear a costume. Come join the fun on October 28th from 5 to 7 at our annual Spooktruncular party. Sue, did you want to say something about Spooktruncular?
Hello. So this Saturday, we are so excited because we have our annual Spooktruncular, and we are asking all of you to participate in this. You can do something as simple as a little headband like I have. You can dress up full out. You can come and decorate your trunks. If it rains, we will do it in here. Here's the thing. In the past, we've had maybe 50 to 60 kids come. Last year, because James does such a good job with our publicity, we had literally hundreds and hundreds of kids come. And we were not quite prepared for that. So we had to make numerous candy runs. So we would love for this to be a highly successful event this year. We're inviting you to come. And if you want, you don't even have to dress up. You can just come in and sit down and give out candy. You can dress up if you want and give out candy. If you just don't want to be here but want to donate, you can bring candy in this week or donate money towards us getting candy. But let's make this a really fun event for our entire neighborhood. And thank you.
You don't want to miss it. It's a hoot. It is so fun. It's a hoot.
All right. Yeah, please come to Spooktruncular. It's so much fun. Have a trunk. There's all kinds of kits. Amazon, like $20. You can buy a kit, decorate your trunk, hand out some candy. It's a good time. Today begins the last week of our 8 items in 8 weeks challenge for our shelter. It's not too late to get involved. You just need to bring all 8 items by next Sunday before service to be entered in the drawing. If you've already brought your 8 items in, please make sure that Lisa has your name down for the drawing. We have 13 entries so far. Yay. 13 people have already brought all 8 items. And judging by the amount of donations, there should be more names than that in the tub, is what Lisa is saying. So if you brought your 8 items in, please let her know. This week's item is toilet paper. Mark your calendars. The next potluck is November 5th with a town hall meeting right after. Please sign up in the foyer with what you intend to bring, and if you can help set up or clean up. And then other dates to save the date for: Thanksgiving potluck will be on November 23rd. Holiday decorating will be on November 26th after service, and the Christmas potluck will be on December 25th. Kat.
All right, we had a great first Veterans Day breakfast yesterday. Oh, that's weird. I'm hearing myself twice. That won't work. A couple things about that. We have an auction that we've gone ahead, the silent item auction sale. We've extended that in the lobby, and a lot of people are like, why are we doing this early? I'm glad you asked. I'll tell you. So I started a veterans mission a couple years ago, and my passion has been not only to honor veterans, but to provide a sense of history and archives that we can have for years to come. One of my biggest passions is World War II, as many of you know. And about 6 months ago, I had a huge breakthrough and was talking on the phone to the National World War II Museum. And they invited me with a media pass for backstage to come and film Veterans Day weekend. So I'm really excited. If you've never heard of it, there's over 6 acres of archives. But here's what's cool. This is just how awesome Spirit is. In the process of doing this, did you know that the Prayer for Protection was written with the intent of aiding comfort during World War II? Amazing, right? So all veterans here today and any veterans that are online, we have gifts in the lobby for you, and I've extended that so that you can pick them up. If you can't get to the church, please call the church and they'll send me on a little gypsy run and I'll bring it to you. But some of the auction items that are out there are amazing. They're great deals. And if Sue's message wasn't awesome enough, stop by the Hemporium table. You'll feel really good before you leave. Hemp 417. And then there's also 22 a day. As you may know, we lose 22 veterans a day due to suicide. That's a really big deal. And all this will help get me there. And what's awesome is I have like 150 gift bags. So when I go to the museum, and I'll be seeing guys from Pearl Harbor, Iwo Jima, trying my best to get to all of them within a matter of a few hours, I will be giving them a gift. Inside the gift will be the story of the Prayer of Protection. So everyone, get ready for our live stream to blow up, because I'm going to be passing all this out. And what's cool, just as a tidbit, we even have somebody online right now from Finland. So our live stream definitely matters. Hold on here. So Unity's message matters, as you know. So you're like, Kat, why are you talking about this so much? Well, it's beyond just veterans. It's a passion of holistic healing and metaphysics on foot. So I just want to thank you for your support. We've got some great ideas for next year. We'll be bigger and better. And we love you and we thank you for your service. And may we strive from World War II to world peace. Love you. Yeah.
All right, if you'll now please stand and join me in the prayer for protection. Together, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God